Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm Abi Small, and today we're going to go over the announcement of a new custom scenario expansion for Marvel Champions. But I'm actually going to do this in two parts because the second part introduces a competitive mode, and I want to be able to do a video exclusively on that. That just focuses on that and its explanation. It took me a little bit to digest this article, so I wanted to be able to present this in two parts. All right, let's get started with the first part, which is going to talk about the scenarios. So it's called Civil War, and it's a new custom scenario expansion. They'll explain that as we go. And here's the art, right, of I assume what's going to be on the box. And we can see a very much a Civil War type situation there. And I'm going to go ahead and read the article, and if anywhere where I think we need to explain, we'll go ahead and do that. This law will split us down the middle. We'll have heroes at war with each other. Captain America. The Superhero Registration Act has been passed. Now anyone who wants to use their powers for good must agree to be trained and governed by SHIELD or face arrest. Iron Man is in full support. Captain America is fully opposed. So the ideals clash, and it's going to be hero versus hero. And in this time of strife, everyone must choose a side. So it won't be hero versus hero in your scenarios, other than your hero against the scenario. Basically, a hero is kind of like a villain in this. So the scenario will have a hero who's basically your villain. In head-to-head, we'll have a different setup. But so you'll basically play against a hero who acts kind of like the villain because you're facing them. All right, Fantasy Flight Games is thrilled to announce the Civil War expansion for Marvel Champions, the card game. There are no villains this time around. Instead, this special custom scenario expansion has players facing off against heroic leaders. And that's what they'll refer to them as, leaders that you're facing. And those are fighting for their ideals. Iron Man and Captain Marvel lead the charge in support of the Superhero Registration Act, while Captain America and Spider-Woman lead the resistance that opposes it. Each of these leaders comes with a fully customizable scenario with a wide range of main schemes and modular encounter sets to build your own unique Civil War experience. The box also kicks off a new bonus wave of playable heroes for the game, beginning with Hulkling and Tigra. Tigra. Oh my gosh, I probably should have looked that up. I don't know why I just say the name. Tigra, right? Tigra. Okay. Both of whom come with fully pre-built and ready-to-play decks from the get-go. Today, we're providing a first look at the scenario content for this expansion, including what we mean when we say customizable. We'll also be taking a look at the highly thematic, and when you look at this, you will see it's very thematic, optional competitive rules that you can use for these scenarios. We'll go over the playable heroes in more detail in the future. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's special about Civil War. So once again, we have Captain America and Iron Man are possible leaders on the side of the Registration Act and the Hero Registration Act. And then over here, we have Spider-Man and Captain America and Spider-Woman on the side as possible leaders on the Resistance. And then these are some minions that are possible on those sides. So they're still called minions along with those leaders. A custom experience. Unlike previous big box expansions for Marvel Champions Civil War, it doesn't include an interconnected campaign. Instead, the box comes with 4 pre-constructed scenarios ready to play right from the get-go, plus additional resources to let you mix and match your own unique experience. This even includes the main schemes. For example, when fighting against the registration side, the stage of main scheme could be cutoff support that you can see here, or shield recruits, right? So this is if you're fighting against the registration side. So you have 2 possible main schemes that you might go against, right? So there's cutoff support, and which you can see has 7 per player to defeat, before the villain completes it. And then it also has these hinder here for those who are playing multiplayer, so that can add some more to this right off the bat, right? So if there's more than one player in your team, the stage gains hinder 2 per player. And then it has a force interrupt. When a player reveals a treachery, place 1 threat here. Okay, and then Shield Recruits has its own, again, so you could choose to face this main scheme instead as your first part of the main scheme. And I'll let you read this. You can just pause it here if you want to read that. This is going to go. These videos are going to go long enough as it is, so I'll let you read some of the details when you need to. Here, you can just pause. All right. So, or if you're on the resistance side, right, you could have Rallying Call, which is a main scheme here, right? Captain America's public denouncement of the Superhero Registration Act drew many allies to his side. So again, this has that same type of deal. If there is more than one player on your team, this stage gains hinder 2 per player. Each minion gains guard. Okay, so that's one choice of your main scheme, of your first main scheme, or you could choose going underground. And again, just pause this video if you want to read this version instead, right? So you get to, it's customizable. You can choose between them. And of course, you could always choose to randomize them if you wanted. That's kind of the type of thing I would probably do. All right, and notice, by the way, these do say resistance on the bottom, right? So those, you can tell the difference, versus these over here on the bottom say registration. All right, the second stage can vary as well, with nasty options like negative zone prison. Notice this is for the registration again, so you can see this is part 2B. Again, if you want to read the details, you can pause this to look through it. Okay, and then we also have that's for the registration side, and then for the resistance, we could have neighborhood protectors. Right. So again, notice it says resistance here, and again, if you want to read the details here, you can go ahead and pause this. Right. So I'll stay there just a little bit, so you can pause it if you need to. Okay. So those are for the second stage. There are 4 stage 1 main schemes and 4 stage 2 main schemes for each side of the conflict. And then when you add 2 heroic leaders on that side, you're looking at 32 possible combinations for registration side when you're facing the registration, or 32 for the resistance. So basically you have 4, right? So right here, it was 4 stage 1 main schemes, 4 stage 2. And then, like we mentioned about the heroic leaders, so you might choose one heroic leader or the other, or you might choose to face both. Right, so that gives you a lot of different options there, and that's not even taking into account modular and counter sets, which of course you can switch out as well. Okay, all right, I get a sneak peek here of some of the minions. All right, speaking of modular and counter sets, you'll find plenty of those on offer in this expansion. Like the scenarios themselves, the modular sets are divided into registration and resistance. There are 8 modular sets for each side for a total of 16 sets in the box, ranging from Maria Hill. So notice this is actually Maria Hill, right? It says 1 of 5. Okay, so Maria Hill has her own modular set that she can put in here, right, as a 2 scheme, 2 attack minion, elite and shield. And then you also have, ranging from Maria Hill and the Mighty Avengers, right? So Mighty Avengers, notice this has 5 cards in this set. And on the registration side, so those are both registration side ones. And then notice the colorations, by the way. The registration side has the red colors, and the resistance side has the blue colors. Okay. All right. And then, so on the registration side versus Spider-Man and New Avengers would be on the resistance side. So here's an example, right? So there's Spider-Man, right? A 2 scheme, 2 attack minion with 4 cost. All of these have a bunch of these when revealed on them that can be pretty devastating. So why don't we go ahead and look at those, because those will be a key feature of this. So I'll go back to Maria Hill as well. So Spider-Man's when revealed is Spider-Man attacks each character with Tangled Up attached. If no attack was made this way, the enemy team searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Tangled Up and gives it to you as a face down encounter card. We'll see that card much later. And then again on this, on the resistance side, you would also have New Avengers, right? So this is, notice there are 5 cards in New Avengers, and this is the side scheme, right? So and this has, we'll actually introduce this again later, so I'll just pass that for now, but you could always pause it to look at it, right? In case you wanted to do that, there it is, right? So you can pause that to look at it. Okay. But let's go ahead and look at Maria Hill as well. So her when revealed, notice she has retaliate 2. When revealed, the enemy team searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Life Model Decoy and attaches it to Maria Hill. So we'll also see that again much later on. Okay. All right. So you can use whatever modular sets you want for the custom scenario. The only restriction is that you can't mix registration or resistance modular sets into the same deck, right? So you have to keep those separate. You may have noticed that many of the cards we've shown so far mention an enemy team or an enemy leader and similar types of terms. This language is mainly there to facilitate the optional competitive mode. So once you start seeing those kind of words, that helps to facilitate that. We'll go over those in a bit. And like I said, I'm going to do that in a separate video. If you just want to take on these scenarios with the classic cooperative or solo Marvel Champions gameplay that you know and love, fear not, every leader, main scheme, modular set in this box is fully playable in the standard cooperative mode. You can even use modular sets from other Marvel Champions expansions with these scenarios, and you can use Civil War's modular sets with the scenarios from those other expansions. This means if you wanted to sling the Maria Hill modular set from the Civil War into the Baron Zemo scenario from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you could do that. Likewise, if you wanted to beef up one of the leaders from Civil War in the cooperative mode with something like Super Strength modular set from Next Evolution, that's completely legal too. With so many different combinations to explore, this is a level of customizability unlike anything Marvel Champions has had before. So from friends to enemies. Okay, now that you know, this doesn't mean I'm talking about the head-to-head, it's just, it's the whole Civil War thing. Okay, now that you know the basic premise of how this expansion scenarios work, let's talk about the scenarios themselves. All right, so as you can see, we have Iron Man here and an attachment, so we'll get into that in a little bit. On the side of registration, we have Iron Man and Captain Marvel as leaders. We refer to them as leaders here because, well, they're not really villains, right? So you're going to face them as if they're villains, but they're called leaders here. Plus the fact that you'll be able to team up against them or with them actually, in a competitive mode. That said, you treat these leaders as villains for the game effects that refer to the villain, and they certainly hit as hard as the villains have in the past. Similar to his hero form, Iron Man powers himself with tech attachments. So let's look at Iron Man. Right, so he has, at least in his version 1, 1 scheme and 1 attack. Notice there's an asterisk here, and he's Avenger traded. Iron Man gets +1 scheme for each tech attachment on him to a maximum of +3 scheme. So he could get all the way up to 4 with just this version 1. Setup, the enemy team searches the encounter deck for an Iron Man attachment and your team reveals it, right? So it's the enemy team. So let's say you're facing Iron Man, and you're playing against, an enemy team, right? That would be in the head-to-head. That enemy team gets to choose the attachment, right? But in this case, it says the enemy team searches the encounter deck for an Iron Man attachment and your team reveals it, right? So you would then reveal it, and we'll get some examples right away. So here it is. This means his powered gauntlets. So here's our first example, right? So notice it's an attachment, armor and tech, attached to Iron Man. Iron Man attacks gain ranged and has this hero response. So notice it's a +1 attack. Has this hero response after you make a basic attack against Iron Man, spend an energy and physical resource, you can discard this card. So when you're facing against Iron Man, you can get rid of these. Notice in the boost, you actually reveal this card, so there's no avoiding it when you're playing against Iron Man. Okay. And then you also have the rocket boots. Notice these are all called Iron Man, so you would be specifically facing Iron Man in this instance. Okay. So you can attach this. So you have armor and tech. For the rocket boots, again, it's a +1, and this time it's aerial traded. Otherwise, it's the same as the previous one that we just saw. Okay. And then we also have, so that means, of course, they're increasing the attack, but because of Iron Man's own ability here, he gets +1 scheme for each tech attachment on him to a maximum of +3. So each time we're adding attack, we're actually adding scheme as well. And then while the Mark V helmet, again, armor and tech, attached to Iron Man and give him a tough status card. Iron Man gets stalwart and then has the same hero response so that you can discard this card. Okay. Notice that one doesn't get attached automatically. So both power gauntlets, if you for the boost gets revealed, and then for the rocket boots, also the boost gets revealed. But then for Mark V helmet, this one doesn't get revealed automatically if it's a boost card instead. It has the 2 icons here for increasing the attack or scheme. And then also the Mark V armor. Wait. The Mark V helmet was the first one we mentioned that gives him stalwart. And then the Mark V armor is, this one does get revealed if it's a boost card. Attached to Iron Man, forced to interrupt when Iron Man would take any amount of damage. Place it here instead, which makes sense, right? This is armor. Then if there is at least 5 damage here, discard this card. All right. So boost, let's see. Well, these boost his ability, right? So the helmet and the armor boost his durability and make it harder to stop him. Any one of these attachments can be problematic for you. And when you combine them with Supersonic Punch, right? So a treachery, when revealed on Alter Ego side, Iron Man schemes. If he has a tech attachment, you're confused. And then when revealed on the hero side, when you're on your hero side, Iron Man attacks you. If he has a tech attachment, that attack gains piercing. All right, and then it's clear that Iron Man is playing for keeps, right? Notice these are different. These don't say Iron Man on them, so we'll get to these in a little bit. Okay. As a core member of the Avengers and the de facto lead of the Registration faction, Iron Man comes with quite a few fellow Avengers in his pre-constructed scenario. Avenger minions like Yellow Jacket and Doc Samson. Sorry, so notice Yellow Jacket says Mighty Avengers here. So if you're using this encounter set, right, has 2 scheme, 1 attack, is an Avenger with toughness, 4 life. When revealed, give the enemy leader a tough status. Has this boost effect, give the enemy leader a tough status card. And then we also have Doc Samson, 2/2 minion, 4 life, Avenger and Gamma, and has guard. When revealed, you are confused. If you were already confused, place 2 threat on the main scheme. And then has this boost, you are confused. Again, we're going to see this when revealed thing come up. So notice these all have the when revealed on them. Okay. And Hellcat, right? So again, Hellcat is a 1/2 with 3 life, has quick strike in this case, Avenger traded. When revealed, you are stunned. If you're already stunned, you take 2 indirect damage and has this boost effect that you are stunned. All right, all come in with potent when revealed effects that are bad enough on their own, but when those effects can be triggered again with Mighty Avengers, which I'll show you in a sec, you'll have your hands full just trying to stay afloat against Earth's mightiest heroes. So this is why it matters about these when revealed, other than that it matters when you first reveal them. So if you have those minions out in play, Mighty Avengers has this is a treachery. When revealed, resolve the when revealed ability of each minion in play. So you want to get rid of those minions relatively quickly. If no when revealed abilities were resolved this way, this card gains Surge. So notice again, this is part of a Mighty Avengers, right? So we have the Mighty Avengers ones, and then we also had the Iron Man. No, not Iron Man. The Initiative as well, right? That's where we had Doc Samson. All right. And then, like we said, just trying to stay afloat against Earth's mightiest heroes. So let's look at that one, right? So there's another side scheme, right? And each has hinder 1, so it'll be 3 plus at least 1, 1 per player, right? It has the amplify icon. Each Avenger minion gains the printed keywords of each other Avenger minion. All right. So then we have Captain Marvel. So again, all of that first part was talking about Iron Man and what comes with him. So then we have Captain Marvel. Again, notice it's a leader instead of saying it's a villain. 1 scheme and 2 attack. It has Arrow and Avenger traits. It has this setup. The enemy team finds energy channel and attaches it to Captain Marvel. So this is different than Iron Man. Well, no, it's not different. I mean, it has an attachment. This attachment is permanent, though, so that is different than Iron Man's. Iron Man's can be discarded, but there's just the one, right? The enemy team finds energy channel and attaches it to Captain Marvel. So this is the one that's going to be attached to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has this forced response. After Captain Marvel attacks and defeats a character, place one energy counter on energy channel. And you'll see there are other ways to do that as well. So here is the attachment. Again, we said this is a permanent, superpower traded. Forced response after a leader, hero, or ally attacks Captain Marvel. So in other words, if you attack him at all, okay, all right, place one energy counter here. Then if there are at least 4 energy counters here, remove all of them. Captain Marvel attacks that character, this attack gains overkill. All right, so it's going to be each time Captain Marvel attacks and defeats a character, right? But then each time somebody attacks Captain Marvel, you get the things placed on the energy channel for sure. Also on the registration side is Captain Marvel, whom we just went over. A proper powerhouse of a leader that packs a real wallop. Her signature move, energy channel, which we just went over here. Builds up energy counters over time, and whenever it has 4 or more, she can spend them to perform a bonus attack with overkill. This can get especially nasty when she has an ATK boost with something like Cosmic Flight. Right, so Cosmic Flight has +1 ATK attached to Captain Marvel. Notice this is no longer permanent. Forced interrupt when Captain Marvel would take more than 3 damage from an attack, reduce that amount to 3, then discard this card. Right, and it has a boost where you're going to reveal this card, so it's going to come into play pretty much no matter what. So this one, right? So you do your attack, and you can only do at most 3 damage to Captain Marvel. Then this will be discarded. And notice the thematics of this versus the original hero cards that come in the heroes decks. So I think it's really cool, the thematics here. All right, so she has ATK boost for something like this, or gains even more bonus attacks from treacheries like Photonic Blast. Right, is a treachery. When revealed on the alter ego side, discard an ally or support you control. So I find that interesting, right? So it's like, oh, you just blasted an ally right out of the game or some kind of support. And has this when revealed on the hero side, Captain Marvel attacks you, and you're going to place 1 energy counter on an energy channel no matter what with this one. What's tricky is the fact that energy channel gets an energy counter every time someone attacks Captain Marvel, but you have to attack her if you want to win the scenario. Even if you minimize the number of attacks you make, right, by doing lots of damage, she can still net herself extra energy through cards like Crisis Interdiction. Okay? So notice all of these cards we've been talking about right now are all Captain Marvel cards. Okay? So when revealed on alter ego side, Captain Marvel schemes, place 1 energy counter on energy channel. Then when revealed on the hero side, place 2 threat on each scheme. Okay. All right. And then you're going to have to be strategic and careful if you want to take Captain Marvel down. Okay. Right. So, and then we're going to get into, notice these say Cape Killer and Martial Law. So we're going to get to in some of the modular set here. So as for her pre-constructed scenario, Captain Marvel flies in with full support of S.H.I.E.L.D. behind her. First is the elite unit of Cape Killers. So notice it's S.H.I.E.L.D. traded. 1 scheme to attack, quick strike, forced interrupt when Cape Killer attacks an identity with the unregistered trait, which we'll see in a bit. It gets +2 ATK for this attack. It has 4 life. And then who specializes in hunting down unregistered supers. So here's where that card is. So it's an obligation. Your identity gains the unregistered trait. So you have to go to alter ego side to use the alter ego action here. Discard an identity specific card from your hand and you'll be able to discard this card. And notice it also gains an acceleration icon at the same time. And then there's bringing them in. Okay? So another treachery. Right? And when revealed, exhaust each unregistered identity. Otherwise, the enemy team searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of an unregistered super and deals it to you as a face-down encounter card. Right? So this gives extra opportunities for unregistered super, to come into play and still impact you. Right behind them are a full platoon of shield soldiers. Okay. Also, so notice the first one is Cape Killers, and then this is martial law now. All right, so notice there are 5 in martial law. So here's an example: shield soldier, 1/1, scheme and attack, 3 life, shield traded. When revealed, put the topmost shield minion into the encounter discard pile into play, engage with you. So notice if you're combining these two, this is also shield traded. So if this happened to be in your discard pile, right, it would come in with quick strike. So, right, so those shield soldiers, right, and so it's put them into play, engage with you. Quick strike does trigger when an enemy is put into play. All right, and then we also have on that side, fully prepared to overwhelm you with rapid response. Another treachery: when revealed, discard cards from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. If you're in alter ego form, place threat on the main scheme equal to that minion's scheme. And then if you're in hero form, deal damage to your hero equal to that minion's ATK. So notice in this case, you're not revealing those characters. It's as if they came in and just hit you, either schemed, or attacked you, right? So you discard cards from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded, and then you have these impacts, right? So you don't actually bring them into play. It's just some immediate effect. All right, with both the Avengers and Shield stacked against them, those fighting on the side of resistance are bound to have a difficult time. All right, so that's it for the resistance side. So we had our 2 characters, right? There is Iron Man and Captain Marvel. So now let's move on over to the resistance, right? So still, as difficult as it may be, the resistance fighters are no pushovers themselves, especially with Captain America. So we can see Captain America and his shield here. So he's going to have an attachment as well. All right, so Captain America, 1 scheme to attack. Again, this is his version 1. Avenger traded has this setup. The enemy team finds Cap's shield and attaches it to Captain America. I imagine they did that on purpose. They didn't want to call it Captain America's shield and conflict with heroes that have that same shield. Has this forced response. After Cap's shield is attached to Captain America, give him a tough status. And so if we look at his shield now, Cap's shield, it's a permanent attached to Captain America. Attached character gains retaliate 1 and attacks against them lose piercing. So when he gains those toughs, and this is a permanent, right? So when he gains these toughs, you can't actually get rid of it. So you'll see that in a little bit, but not permanently. Okay. So, but he gains retaliate, and you can't get rid of his toughs right away, right? Because you lose piercing if you happen to have it. Forced response: after a hero or the Captain America leader uses their ATK to attack and damage attached character, attach Cap's shield to the attacker, right? So if you damage Captain America, then, right? So after a hero, right? So you see you're playing a hero. If you use your ATK to attack and damage, let's say Captain America, then you would get this shield. Likewise, if you now have the shield on you and Captain America uses his ATK to deal damage to you, then Captain America gets the shield back. Now, the nice thing is, right, attached character gains retaliate 1 and attacks against them lose piercing, right? So you get retaliate 1 when you have it, and it looks like there's good reasons for you to try to gain some tough, right? Whereas Captain America gains the tough automatically, right? If you go back to Captain America, so notice after Cap's shield is attached to Captain America, give him a tough status card. So he gets one of those automatically. All right, so with his iconic shield in hand, Cap is notoriously tough to put down, emphasized by the steady stream of tough status cards the shield can give him. So the thing about going back and forth with the shield is he keeps getting the toughs again and again, whereas you don't automatically get that. Even though you can pull the shield from his grasp, cards like Shield Block, right? So here's our treachery. When revealed, if Cap's shield is attached to Captain America, give him a tough status card. So boom, he gets another tough status card. and a face down boost card. Otherwise, attach Cap's shield to him and give him a face down boost card. So notice, no matter what, he's going to get another tough status card, because as soon as he attaches his shield, he's going to get a tough status card anyway. Even though you can pull the shield, and shield toss, right? So we just talked about shield block. So he also has shield toss, right? So shield toss has two different effects. On the alter ego side, when revealed, it's a treachery again. Captain America schemes in that case. And then if it's on your hero side, if Cap shield is attached to Captain America, deal 2 damage to each character you control. So that's the actual shield toss. If he has the shield, he tosses it when he's attacking you. Otherwise, or I should say when he's on hero side, otherwise attach Cap's shield to Captain America. So in other words, he gets the shield back if he didn't already have it. All right, so those two, so the shield block and shield toss, can make that just a temporary setback if he doesn't have the card, gaining additional kickers if he already has the shield. And while you're busy trying to get damage through to him, he'll be winding up with a heroic strike or a super soldier serum enhanced punch. So he can really do this all day. So let's look at heroic strike. So another treachery on the when revealed side, alter ego side, discard an ally or upgrade you control. So in other words, his strike has gotten rid of one of your allies or an upgrade. And when revealed on the hero, if you're on your hero side, Captain America attacks you. And if it damages a character, stun that character. Or possibly super soldier serum, which is another attachment. Notice this one is not permanent, right? Does give +2 attack. Attached to Captain America, forced interrupt. When Captain America attacks, this attack gains overkill. At the end of this attack, discard this card. All right, so he's going to be buffed up temporarily there. All right, so and then this will be some of his, so up to now we've been seeing Captain America's cards in his encounter set, but let's go ahead and look at the other encounter sets, then the modules that would come with his set. So we have New Avengers and Secret Avengers. So joining Captain America's side in the Resistance are many of his fellow Avengers, including Falcon. So 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 life, or 3 hit points. Arrow and Avenger traits, has the Teamwork Avenger on him, which so does Captain America, right? He also has Avenger trait. When defeated, give this card to the enemy leader as a face-down boost card. So notice face down boost card, not encounter card. When I first read this, I was thinking, what? He just comes back forever? No, he becomes a face down boost card. And notice the boost effect then. You do care about that because it's going to happen pretty much just almost no matter what. So you are confused. If you were already confused, this card gains 2 of these boost icons. All right. So, and Goliath and also Black Panther. So you notice they'll all have the same type of theme with the when defeated and the teamwork. So let's look at Goliath, okay? Right? So Avenger and Giant, 1 scheme, 2 attack, 5 life, 5 hit points, has the Teamwork Avenger. When defeated, give this card to the enemy leader as a face down boost card. So it has that again. And so in his boost ability, give the enemy leader a tough status card, which of course really matters when you're playing against Captain America. If they already have a tough, it's going to gain 2 of the boost icons. And then Black Panther, same deal here, right? 2 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit points. Teamwork Avenger again. When defeated, give this card to the enemy leader as a face down boost card again. And it has this boost ability, exhaust each upgrade you control. All right, and then like Cap himself, these freedom fighters don't know when to quit. Right, so here's a treachery freedom fighters. When revealed, resolve the boost ability of each minion in play. If no boost abilities were resolved this way, this card gains surge. And has this basically the same ability in the boost. And then when, let's see, represented by their, oh yes. All right, so like Cap himself, these freedom fighters don't know when to quit, represented by their potent boost effects and when defeated abilities that deal them as boost cards for one last swing. And even when you think you've got a handle on the situation, the new Avengers can always bounce back for another round, right? So the new Avengers instead is a side scheme here. Notice there are 5 cards in the new Avengers. Has Hydra 1. When defeated, shuffle each minion in the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck, so you're bound to be facing them again if this card shows up. All right. So then we also have Spider-Woman is the other leader on the resistance side. Notice she also has an attachment. When Captain America leads the charge in overt resistance, Spider-Woman poses a significant covert threat. All right, so let's look at Spider-Woman, right? 1 scheme, 2 attack, setup. The enemy team finds Finesse and attaches it to Spider-Woman. Has this forced interrupt. When Spider-Woman attacks, she gets +1 ATK for each skill counter on Finesse. For this attack, remove each skill counter from Finesse. So her attack is already 2. This is version 1, and her attack is already 2. But then she has Finesse, right? So every time a treachery is revealed, she gets a skill counter on Finesse, right? So this is a permanent, her superpower, and it's an attachment. Max 3 skill counters here. Force to interrupt. When a treachery is revealed, place 1 skill counter here, right? So this builds up, right? When each time a treachery is revealed, she gets a skill counter here. So she just doesn't automatically get skill counters here. But she's going to have apparently her share of treacheries. And as a reminder, it says you're going to remove those skill counters from Finesse after she is done with her attack. All right, so every time a treachery is revealed, she gets a skill counter on Finesse, which powers up her next attack based on the number of counters it has. As you might expect, she has some nasty treacheries to go with it, such as pheromones. Again, looking at the thematics of this compared to the hero decks, right? Pheromones, treachery, when revealed, you are stunned and confused. Place 1 skill counter on Finesse. So notice this also places a skill counter, so that would be 2 because it's a treachery, so that would already place it there. It has this boost effect, you are stunned, otherwise you're confused. And then, let's see, treacheries making you both stunned and confused or inconspicuous, forcing you to choose between losing an asset or letting Spider-Woman scheme. So here's inconspicuous, right? Has a treachery when revealed. Choose one. You're going to either discard the highest cost card you control or Spider-Woman schemes. It has a boost effect. Let's see, gains 1 of these boost icons for each status card on your identity. All right, you might think you can handle the odd scheming from her here and there, but you may think differently. While her contaminant immunity is active, boosting her scheme and preventing her from becoming confused. So here's another attachment, has +1 to her scheme, attached to Spider-Woman, not a permanent though. Forced to interrupt. When Spider-Woman would be stunned or confused, discard this card instead. Give her a tough status card. Notice that is the only way to get rid of this card. So she's going to get the +1 scheme, and it's going to stay there. It is going to stay there forever, unless you stun or confuse her. So that is an important thing to keep in mind when you're facing her. But when you do it, she ends up with a tough status card. You might think she can handle the odds. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Finally, if you let her build up too many skill counters, then you'll have a tough time dealing any real amounts of damage thanks to her self-propelled glide. All right, so this side scheme, forced to interrupt. When Spider-Woman would take damage from an attack, reduce the amount of damage she takes by 1 for each skill counter on Finesse. So you have to let her attack you sooner or later so that you can get rid of those cards. Or, of course, you got to get rid of this. That's probably easier. Okay, so 3 per player, and it has the acceleration icon on it. She is a former spy for S.H.I.E.L.D. after all. She's quite skilled at navigating dangerous situations. Okay. So now let's get into her what encounter modules that come with her. So we have Spider-Man, and we also have Defenders. So notice he's a minion here. They're both minions. Okay, so rounding out the resistance in the rest of Spider-Woman's pre-constructed scenario, we have her fellow wall crawler Spider-Man, whom we mentioned earlier. The wisecracking Avenger can be quite the nuisance for those fighting for registration, especially with his ability to leave people tangled up. Right? So this was, we mentioned way at the beginning of the video, tangled up. Attached to your leader, otherwise attached to your hero. Forced to interrupt, when attached character would scheme, thwart, or attack, discard this card instead. And this has a boost that basically does the same thing. If the Spider-Man minion is in play, then you'll reveal this card, right? Which makes sense based on the themes. Okay? So you'll have people tangled up in his webs. Also teamed up with Spider-Woman are Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, 2 members of the Defenders who are skilled at dishing out status cards. So looking at Luke Cage, right? When revealed, stun your leader, otherwise you are stunned. 1 scheme to attack, 4 hit points, and has this boost icon, stun your leader, otherwise you are stunned. Oh, okay. So, right, if you have a leader, they would be stunned, right? In head-to-head, that's when that would occur. Okay. All right, and then Jessica Jones, when revealed, you're confused, otherwise, confuse your leader, otherwise you are confused. Again, that's meant to, confusing the leader is meant to be if you're playing head-to-head. Okay? So 2 scheme, 1 attack, 3 life. So very similar cards, just one is confusing, the other one is stunning. All right, and then the Defenders, right? Here's a side scheme, 3 has hinder, 1 per player. Each minion gains guard, acceleration icon on it. All right, so it's clear that while the registration fighters have far more resources at their disposal, the resistance more than makes up for it with grit and sheer determination. Okay, that's it for this video. So I'm going to talk in the next video about hero versus hero, how that works. And there are some things after that too. But let's go ahead and stop this recording now, and I'll see you in the next one.